Right. Let's look at the equities and see what we can see. Dubious speculation. Um, so on the monthly chart on the dollar, we can see here we close red, back onto support zones right here. If you bring it to say 4 hours, you can see here, these fat big selling candles likely to recover to the upside. I mean, we could, there is a divergence already here and here. So most likely we could come down to this point here, which is 98.6 before we go. But I'd expect higher prices still on the dollar in the month of August. Let's move on to the next one. Let's look at gold and silver quickly. So monthly chart on gold, we close green, and but the MACDs are not responding at the moment. Volume is reasonable, okay. I think that there's still more opportunities to the downside. The major support zone is here. So anytime price comes into the zone, great buying opportunity. Go to the weekly chart. This place where we are, we're also on a reasonable support, intermediate support here, as you can see. So, we would need a big selling volume to get us into this zone here. So I won't be surprised if price were to go up first before you get the move back to the downside on gold. On gold, I would wait for these opportunities here, unless, of course, on the monthly chart, prices were to close above 4,005, then of course you know where we're going. So let's move to silver. Silver closed red on the monthly chart, so I'd expect us to come down for lower prices. Support zone around here between 45 and 48 or 50, somewhere there would be a great place to start collecting some silver. If you look at the weekly chart, again, very similar story. MACDs are positive, but big selling volume appeared in the market. Sellers are in the market. I think, yeah, we could go up and take liquidity to the up here before we get the sell to the downside into the support zone, which is sitting right here. So let's look at oil. Oil on the month closed green, quite a good close, reasonable volume. MACD's on the fast is changing slow, hasn't yet. The RSI on the fast didn't go with the move, so that's suspicious. With all this move, and the fast could not go. That's fast RSI didn't go along. That's suspicious a bit. But let's investigate it further. MACDs on the weekly are positive. So I think we'll probably go and do a double top first, 113, before we come down, because we are going to have a golden cross as well. So I think in the month of August, I'll expect higher prices on oil. Yeah, I think looking at lower time frame, I'd expect higher prices. Let's move on and look at the Nasdaq quickly. So the Nasdaq on the month closed a big fat red, and most importantly, it closed also below the low of last month. Um, I think there's lower prices on the Nasdaq coming, potentially into these support zones here, which is sitting around 26, somewhere in the 26 or 25, 8, somewhere there. There's support there on the month. So any move to the up will be to take liquidity. I don't see this going up to do several all times highs until we've come somewhere into the zone, into the support zone, which is sitting somewhere here. So we may have a bit of a move to the upside, but there's lower prices coming on the Nasdaq. This place will be the great from 25, let's call it 2600, will be a great place to start collecting all the way down to somewhere around here, around the 24. This zone would be a great opportunity to buy. On the weekly chart, we need to come to these tops here, which is 2026, exactly 26, and that will be a great buying opportunity. But having said that, if the month were to go back and we roared above and closed above these two candles here, then you should be looking for higher prices at that point. I won't be putting my house on that. And then the next one that I've got is the SPX quickly. So SPX is also the same story. So very similar story. I'd expect lower prices on the SPX back into the support zone of about 6,900 and potentially back to, the weekly support, which is sitting around here, around, yeah, 6.9 before we get our next leg to the upside. Uh, S SanDisk is another one that we like as well. So you can see here, red on the month, on the week, red on the month. There is a potential for liquidity to be taken, but if we close above 1459, then you're going for higher prices. I think the probabilities are we could probably come back into these zones here. These zones here, we come back into it. This support zone here that we've got here on the week, on the month, it's probably somewhere there, sitting around here, likely before we get the next leg to the upside. Let's look 4 hours. Yeah, so the pull down is already beginning. So this move back down is a great buying opportunity. Let's move on to SpaceX. So SpaceX on the 4 hours because the daily, I think we don't have enough data, but um, yeah, this is not. I think between 90 to 100, I would expect that SpaceX will get between 90 to 100 before we get a proper move to the upside. I think put it on 4 hours, the divergences have started developing, and which is good. When I see this change into green, fast MACD changes to green, that is when I think that this would be finding a bottom on the 4 hour chart. So maybe we're not there yet. There's a little bit more. And the micron as well is very similar to SanDisk as well. It's going to clear liquidity to the downside. If you put it on the month, yeah, support zone is somewhere around here. So you're talking 450, 58, somewhere there, to yeah, 500 to 400, 500, somewhere there is where price will get to before we get going again. But don't be surprised that we take a bit of liquidity off this candle. If we go on 4 hours, it's unlikely, but that's what I see. So I think that's all I wanted to really cover on equities. I wish you all the best and God bless.